statistics, and the problems that a child between the ages of 6 and 12 may face when homeless. Now we will look at the implications for social workers and how to provide care for a child who is homeless. The main goal of a social worker in this situation is to ensure secure, stable, and affordable housing. In the interim, it is possible to help children overcome the adversity they are facing with homelessness. To address food insecurity and obesity, the best thing to do is to provide resources for encouraging physical fitness and healthy eating habits, providing an opportunity to understand and cope with their current situation, and pay attention to the caregiver-child dyad, and to work on the relationship that they have. Once homelessness is in the past, these relationships tend to be very fragile. Building strengths within the dyad during homelessness will ensure a better attachment and overall development of the child. One final thought is to encourage community building. This will not only assist the family in developing strong bonds, but it also meets the psychosocial development that builds industry in the child. This will allow them to hold meaningful and successful relationships. This slide serves as a conclusion and practice case. Please click on the link below entitled Life in a Homeless Shelter Through the Eyes of an 8-Year-Old. This will take you to a YouTube video. While watching the YouTube video, please analyze Paris's situation and development in terms of Erikson, Piaget, and Maslow. What additional factors discussed in this presentation are present in the video?
I'm Paris and I'm 8 years old and I'm in 3rd grade. My favorite person that's a cartoon character is Hello Kitty. The reason why she's my favorite because most cartoon characters don't make up funny jokes and they don't be smart and Hello Kitty, she is funny. If you've never been in a shelter, shelters are big with a lot of floors. It goes up to a certain amount, a number of PSPs goes up to 10. And there's one room that you have to stay in with beds. That's what's different about a house and a shelter. This is why I sleep and I share my bed with my mom. I do my homework here, and in school I like to do math because there's a lot of things that you have to solve and you can solve them yourself without anyone helping you. My mom painted my whole wall pink and I hanged it up posters and she got me a big TV to go in it and I got a desk with a pink lamp and she put all the hairspray for me on my desk and the brush. And I said, Mom, why are you taking my stuff? And she said, because we're about to move into a shelter then we can't bring that stuff because we only have one room and it won't fit. It was put in storage. This is a place where people eat, and here in the cafeteria it's busy, and I don't like when they put the vegetables. I don't like vegetables, I like fruit, so I usually pick out the fruit here. You shouldn't be scared to go in a shelter, whoever it is, because they already have a lot of security guards that guards lunchrooms to make sure no one goes down there, but you shouldn't be scared. They lock the front doors and mostly all the shelters have proof glass on it. Mostly people have play dates and they bring friends over and they play and they bring their cousins over and they play, or they bring their family. You can't do that in a shelter. They'll say they can't be here. You can't bring pets in shelters. My cat got sent to the pet shelter because we was about to move and it couldn't come with us. But I had it since it was a baby this small and I had to get taken away. It will have 4 rooms, bathroom, dining room, and a living room. and a kitchen. I'm gonna get kitty posters and Hello Kitty posters, and I have more space. If someone bees mad to you, you can't go in the bathroom in the shelter because mostly people have to use the bathroom. In a home, when someone mess with you, you can't go somewhere by yourself. You can go in the basement, or you can go in your room. Homeless is when you're on the sidewalk asking people for money and you don't have a home. But if you're staying somewhere, then you're not homeless. When you move into the shelter, that's just giving you time to look at a home that you want, so you're not homeless.
So you've had an opportunity to hear about homelessness, its effects on middle childhood, and to view a real-life scenario on YouTube. I'm going to combine all of these components to illustrate an analysis of Paris. So Paris is an 8-year-old girl living in a homeless shelter in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Much like all 8-year-olds, she's involved in social media and identifying herself with characters in cartoons. In particular, she really likes Hello Kitty. Her reasoning is because Hello Kitty is funny. Listening to the way that she describes Hello Kitty leads me to believe that this laughter she experiences during the episodes and books result in a happiness and social inclusion that homelessness may take away. After an introduction of herself, she moves on to discuss the homeless shelter in general. Paris, her mother, and her 3 brothers share one room. Paris and her mother are forced to share a bed. When it is time to do her homework, Paris's desk is a chair pulled to the windowsill to create a makeshift desk. There is no ability to have a quiet place to concentrate, as the noise from her brothers and the chaos from the other families in the shelter encircle her. But for Paris, it doesn't seem to bother her that much. Paris said that she loves math. This is where she is searching to fulfill the industry stage of Erickson's psychosocial development. Paris is trying to master a task. In this case, it's math. As she succeeds in completing problem after problem, she is creating a feeling of self-confidence and leaving her to feel industrious. On the contrary, if she was struggling with math, unable to complete her assignments or failing tests, she would begin to feel a sense of inferiority. Thankfully, Paris is succeeding with her schoolwork and thus working towards a positive sense of industry. Unfortunately, this positive development is followed by the negative emotions about moving into the shelter. Paris talked about her old room with such an excitement. She could tell you exactly where her mom had placed her hairspray, the pink wall, and the pink lamp on her desk. She was able to hold on to every detail of a time when she felt happy and safe. Paris progressed from the happy remembrance of her room to the feeling she had the day she found her mother packing up her belongings. Her voice dropped to a lower, slower tone when she mentioned her items being packed into storage. According to Piaget, the theory of schemas and symbols, it's very difficult for an 8-year-old to imagine what a storage unit or a shelter means when they have no experience of them. Paris had never heard of or seen a shelter before and had no symbol or schema for such a place. This left her feeling frightened about the experience. Further, her pet cat that she had owned for a very long time had to be placed in a shelter of its own, considering they were unable to bring it with them because of the rules of the shelter. This separation of an object that is special to her added an additional stress to Paris. With the mentioning of symbols, if you notice at the 1 minute and 50-second mark of the video, there are drawings scattered across the bed. These drawings show violent actions, such as stabbings and shootings, with pools of blood surrounding the people. This is a prime example of how vulnerable these children are to violence when homeless. While many children in middle childhood are being exposed to more social media and to violence, these drawings exhibit symbols that Paris and her brothers may have developed about the world that they live in. Paris also reinforces the factor of food insecurity. Paris and her family cannot cook in the room per the rules of the shelter. Instead, they are forced to eat in the cafeteria if they want a meal. Paris does not like vegetables, but instead has a preference for fruits. While the shelter does provide both options, her dislike for the food may result in deficiencies of vitamins and minerals. This shelter, as presented by Paris, is not addressing any concerns with food, health, or well-being. A program that helps to teach the residents of nutritious meals and physical fitness could be a huge benefit. Additionally, allowing the residents to cook and handle food would teach them how to properly prepare a meal after they have left the shelter. After showing us the cafeteria, Paris talks about security in the shelter. She is not afraid to be there and suggests that others should not be afraid of going into one. She does say that there are guards, that they lock the front door, and that they have bulletproof glass. These safety measures taken by the shelter help Paris feel safe and ultimately help her move up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. With her ability to have a meal from the cafeteria, her physiological needs are met, and her safety needs are met. She can now move to the next stage known as love and belonging. Unfortunately, Paris is exhibiting social exclusion. The shelter rules do not allow for friends, cousins, or family members to enter the shelter for things like playdates. These times of interaction with their friends outside of school is vital to developing a sense of accomplishment in their social lives. Unfortunately, living in a shelter places a strain on developing and maintaining relationships with children their own age. Similarly, Paris does not provide any suggestions of holding extracurricular activities. Like many homeless youth, this is due to the limited resources available, including transportation or the funds associated with these activities. During middle childhood, privacy is not particularly in need, but Paris does describe how she wishes she could have a place of her own. When she talks about moving into their new house, she envisions a room where she can go when she's upset or mad. She states that other people who have a house are able to go somewhere, like their bedroom or the basement, to help calm down. This is beginning to understand others' perspectives and identifying their feelings. Perhaps the most interesting part of this video is the fact that although Paris and her family have been in a shelter 3 times in the past 4 years, she doesn't consider herself homeless. Her definition of homeless is living on the streets asking people for money. What she doesn't realize is that this is not only a portion of homeless youth, but it's also got a name. It's called unsheltered youth. For Paris, this shelter is just giving her family time to get back into society and to live independently. Altogether, this video provides an excellent conclusion to the project. I have learned quite a bit about what homelessness is defined as, how it affects development, and how I, as a future social worker, can assist families and youth living in the situation. I hope that you have learned some valuable information as well, and I thank you for taking the time to view this presentation.